Hallmarkies podcast, and we are welcoming in the new year. This is very exciting. We are talking to a writer, Julie Sherman Wolfe, whose new movie, Taking a Shot at Love, is coming out this weekend. And we're really excited to have her back on the podcast. Julie, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us.
Hi, I'm so happy to be back. I feel like, it definitely has been a little too long. I miss talking to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because we chat, we communicate, and we had you on for the watch along for the Christmas Club. And so I thought that we'd had you on earlier this year, but we haven't had you on since last year.
I think everybody is in a time warp of some sort where, to me, there is no year. It's just this one blob of endless time that is punctuated by movie premieres and deadlines. Right. That's sort of the life.
I mean, I guess at least Hallmark's kept us in some kind of like regular, somehow by, I don't know how they did it, by Christmas magic.
Honestly, my workload hasn't changed. It's just sort of the, all of a sudden you have to have something done because it has to go into production tomorrow. It's a lot of the timing of everything has changed, but I was so lucky. I can't believe how lucky I was that the two of the very first movies back from COVID were mine. So it was crazy those 2 weeks because I had to get both scripts ready because they were both shooting within, a few weeks of each other. But so Wedding Every Weekend, One Royal Holiday was first here in Connecticut, and then Wedding Every Weekend was right after that in Vancouver.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that One Royal Holiday was before.
I believe it, now I can't remember. See, no time. There's no time. Time doesn't exist. Also, I have the worst memory of any human being that doesn't have an actual brain issue. Like, I just don't remember. I have friends telling me things that happened to me in my childhood that you would think would be, oh, remember when you got arrested? That's not that, but something that big. Hey, remember when you got hit by a car? And nope.
That's the way my sister is. She does not remember anything, and I'm like, all that time I spent, because she's 10 years younger than me. All that time we spent together, you don't remember any of it.
No. So when people ask, what do you draw from for your stories? I'm like, nothing. I don't draw. It must be there somewhere, but I can't access it at will.
Yeah. So what has 2020 been like for you as far as a writer? Do you feel like it's been kind of easier to write, like you've had, or it's been harder? You feel like you've had, with everything going on, it's been harder to come up with ideas, or the same?
So, what I like about what Hallmark has done this year is that they haven't said, let's write about, how sucky 2020 is. And that we get to continue giving people an escape. So it used to be people talking about the Christmas movies kind of being an escape and being kind of this idealized version of the world. Now I feel like every Hallmark movie is now an escape and an idealized version of the world where we don't have masks, we don't have quarantines, we hug each other, we go out to dinner, like all the things we can't do. And so writing all that during this year has been a great way for me to escape that too. So I mean, the truth is my view every day is still my computer looking out the window. And the difference has been this year, there's been a young child above me remote learning and not enjoying that. And my husband is a teacher, and he has spent, some of the time in class where they're in person, but then some of the time remote learning. So we have one remote learner upstairs. We got Greg teaching in the other room, and that has been the hardest part for me. So a lot of times I end up working weird hours where it's quiet, where I don't have to keep one ear open to see if my son needs help or whatever. So that's been the hardest part, is sort of balancing everything.
You're like, my hermit lifestyle is dependent upon you both going out of the house.
I mean, seriously, I finally had one day where Connor was back in school in person, because Connecticut's been pretty good. They've mostly had in-person learning, but then there was this big chunk of time where they were doing hybrid, and then Greg was home. And I was like, there was one day where I finally had the house to myself, and I thought, when I couldn't remember the last time I'd had it. And I just wandered around the house like I didn't even work because I was just so excited to have this, this space. So I just kind of puttered around and organized some drawers. It was just weird. I don't know. That was my
Yeah.
reaction to finally having my alone time, was just literally doing nothing of value except just wandering around the house, just happy, you know?
Yeah, I for me it's been the for me it's been kind of the reverse because everything that I was already kind of the hermit lady and who just recorded all these podcasts, uh but anything that I had that kind of forced me to be social has been removed. And I am a very social person, but I don't know, I just because I work from home anyway, but taking away church and taking away the going to the movie screenings, which was a big part of my
Yeah.
life, going to, 2, 3 times a week, going to the movie screenings where I'd see the other critics and see my best friend, and then we would go together. And so that was all taken. And so I feel like it's just been,
I hope we all have a great appreciation for those little things that we took for granted when we finally get to go back and do all this stuff.
yeah,
Um, I
I
mean,
know I
really,
will.
just I have a dear friend who is immunocompromised and just has not left the house in 10 months. And, we don't really have any issues where we need to be like
Mm,
hyper careful,
right.
hyper vigilant. So, we'll go, there's outdoor dining, we'll do that. I've seen friends. But my one really good friend who hasn't left the house, is so hard. I try and bring her little presents and leave them by the door and ring the bell, and we try and do FaceTime and all. It's just not the same. And, you just want to give somebody a hug sometimes. And all the
I know that's
FaceTimes
the
in
thing
the
I
world aren't going to be
don't.
enough.
I do. I miss giving hugs. And I'm not a very touchy-feely person, but I do miss it. I really do.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So,
and I mean, I have gone out a little bit. I have gone actually to the movies. They've been open here since June here in Utah, but I've always had tons of space, and I try to go at like odd times, and
right.
usually there's only 2 or 3 other people in the whole theater.
There is
So
something to be said for the glory of going to a movie by yourself in an almost empty theater. I love it.
it
I
makes me feel really rich. I'm
I, I
like, I
love
feel like I
it.
got a private theater.
Movie popcorn is my favorite food group. Uh,
Yeah.
I do miss that. And also, I've been trying to do low carb at the same time. So I mean, movie theater popcorn is just not an option. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna have a day where that's all I
Yeah.
eat when I get to go back to. Well, I went to see the Downton Abbey movie here in town
Oh,
and I was the only person in the theater, and it was fantastic. Right there, just the middle of the day, you know.
yeah. My really good friend had a Downton Abbey party where we all like dressed up, and
Oh, well, that's a
it
good
was
way to do
so
that.
fun. I'm like, oh,
That's a
I
very
can't
good
wait
way
to
to
go
do
do
that.
stuff like that again.
Yeah,
It was great.
people wanted
Well,
to. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's something that I definitely think I will treasure more
Hmm.
and not take for granted. I mean, I just never. It's almost like it never occurred to me that movies could get canceled. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
such a thing that's always there, and then
And it's so weird that, if you want to see Wonder Woman 84, you have to get HBO Max or something. And I'm
yeah.
just like, that's not, I guess that explains why everybody's building, um, screening rooms now and stuff. That's just kind of how it is. Everyone here is building screening rooms and putting in pools.
Oh,
Like they're
really?
never going to
Oh,
leave the house again. Like they feel like they're just building these, compounds now. Just,
yeah. I don't blame them. I really don't. Well, it's been quite the year.
yeah.
It seems like forever since we had you on for the watch along. And if people don't know, for our patrons, every month we have talent on that comes and joins us when we watch the movie together. And you get to hear the behind the scenes and details. It's really fun. We have a very fun one coming up this month in January. We're going to have Natalie Hall, actress Natalie Hall, on, and we're going to watch Winter Princess together. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And it was so fun getting to talk with you about the Christmas Club and hear all the details about how you wrote that and everything. And I think if people are on the fence about becoming a patron, it's really it's a pretty fun perk, I think.
People who listen to you should become patrons because you're providing so much entertainment, and it's not it's it's a little drop. If everyone does a little bit of a patron, a little drop in the bucket, there you go. You're all set.
It's only
You
two
don't have to
dollars a
stop.
month.
Yeah, it's no
And
problem. It's no big deal. You don't even notice it. It's a cup of coffee.
that's right. Well, thank you. That was fun. And so then you had Wedding Every Weekend come out in
Yeah.
August, and so had had you been planning on this film to be kind of the start of their sort of diversity inclusion with Wedding Every
Um,
Weekend, or is that something that kind of got added later, or?
it just sort of found its way in naturally when we were, when once we kind of knew it was going to get going, we
Mhm,
thought, um, we just felt like it was a natural place for because there were so many different couples and types of weddings being represented.
mhm.
I think we just felt like it was a natural way to do that. With that didn't seem like it was sort of jammed in there, um, unnaturally. We didn't want to. I never. I think Hallmark doesn't want it to feel like things are being put
Yeah,
in for
escapism.
diversity's sake. I mean, obviously it's been certainly been a mandate for the year for
Mhm,
include to have more inclusivity and diversity. But we know I don't think we want it to seem like it's just being forced in. You don't. So it has to make sense to the story and feel like a natural thing. And I think that um, this worked out really well in Wedding Every Weekend, and the girls were fantastic that they
mhm.
cast as the couple. And we got to I added a little bit more for them actually because they just had such a great vibe and chemistry. But yeah, I mean, I think that Hallmark's doing it exactly the right way, which is like, yes, let's wherever this makes sense, let's do it. There's no reason not to anymore. That's the best part. We don't. There's nothing keeping it from happening, which is that's what I like. It's just that freedom that if this makes sense, let's do it.
Yeah, that's what I've always said is that why not include more people in the stories? As long as they're keeping the kind of I feel like the unspoken agreement with Hallmark is that they'll keep it at this G rating. And
Yeah.
so as long as it's keeps it at that level, that rating, then why not invite more people into the stories? What
Exactly. And then the stuff I'm working on now for next year, it's just really been great. There's so much, there's such a bigger pool of stories to tell. That's a terrible phrase. There's such, it's such a, there's a bigger pool to swim in. Let's put it that way. As far as
yeah.
stories go, as far as I'm working on something about special needs. I'm trying to figure out a way to tell a story about a couple struggling with fertility because that's
Mm,
very close to my heart. We went through 5 years of fertility treatments and a lot. It was just really, actually, my husband wrote a book about it. It's for guys about going through fertility treatments. That's kind of a funny guy version because it really tests your relationship. It's such a perfect Hallmark story in its own way, because it tests the strength of a relationship and shows how you can use humor and understanding, and how your friends and family become so important when you're going through that. So I'm trying to figure out a way to sort of make that story work for them. And then
well, that would be unique. I mean, because we have gotten a couple Hallmark movies about married couples,
yeah, it's
but
hard. I mean, it's a really hard nut to crack. It's honestly, I'm literally trying to work on the pitch right now where it's not. They certainly have, there's no one's bought anything. It's not anything official. That's just the thing I'm working on to try and find a way to make that work in the Hallmark world. Because it's tough, because with something like fertility, there's a lot going on there that's pretty intense that may
sure.
or may not work for Hallmark. So we'll see if we can make it work. If not, I mean, I have a lot of other stuff going on. This is just sort of one of the things I'm working on for next year. But the point is, it's just now we have the freedom to even broach that is
Right.
wonderful. That's a wonderful thing to me,
Yeah.
is that it's even being listened to.
What percentage of your writing is your sort of original concepts versus them coming to you and saying, we need to rewrite, we
Uh,
have this concept.
yeah. Right now it's probably 25% me, 50% that them coming to me with sort of an area, or we want something about this, and then
Mhm.
some, and then probably 25% rewrite. Did that make 100?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And 10% and 10% inspiration, and 30% chocolate, and yeah, no, it's yeah, that's pretty much it. And so yeah, the rewrites are a whole other thing. They're fun to do, but they're actually harder than anything else because you're really coming in on someone else's story and trying to, you know, do what they need you to do,
Yeah,
to make
I
it
think that would be hard.
get greenlit. But it wasn't like something that came out of your brain in the first place, so you had to kind of wrap your head around someone else's idea. Uh, you know,
With
but they're
Wedding Every Weekend, did you kind of have Paul and Kimberly in your head that you were thinking of for it,
No, they were
or
cast. No, they were cast after it was greenlit, but they turned out to be absolute perfection. I could not
Mhm,
have been happier. I love them, and I just loved, getting to know them personally, and just, I'm just dying to have them do another one. I just think they are so cute together.
mhm.
I forced Greg to watch Nine Lines of Christmas. I'm like, she's so good. Just look at this.
What do you
And
think?
Paul just, he's just brilliant with comedy, and he just, the way I write is
Uh-huh,
very, as you know, it's very specific. It has a kind of a cadence to it that Paul totally gets, and that's how he writes too. So yeah, he's amazing. I love him. Um,
yeah, he's great. We love
but I
him
will
too.
say, I mean, I've gotten, I cannot believe how lucky this year has been for me as far as casting goes, because Wedding Every Weekend, unbelievable. Obviously, One Royal Holiday was just ridiculous with their cast. I mean, it was beyond. I can't even. I cannot believe we got them and how good they were. Everybody was. And then coming up with Taking a Shot at Love, for this movie, it's Alexa Penavega and Luke McFarlane, and they are so good. They're so
Oh,
good. I'm just so happy with the cast. I mean, I'm usually always happy with the cast, to be honest. But this
mhm.
year has just been like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's just been so
yeah.
great. Yeah. So
Yeah, so One Royal Holiday, it was definitely one of the biggest hits, I think, of the season. So congratulations
thank
there.
you.
I don't know anybody who disliked it. Everybody had a great time with it. And uh, how did you end up writing a royal movie? Did they ask you, or did you come up with it, or how
It
did that
was
work?
actually the producer, Andrew Gernhard, here in Connecticut, was working with Samantha DePippo, who's the executive I work with the most out of New York. And they had this idea. It was kind of sort of as a one pager at that point, and brought me. They knew I was really into doing a movie, shot in Connecticut, set in Connecticut, and it just worked out really well. And I got brought on, and then I just took their kernel of an idea, which is to flip the royal movie on its head and have the royals kind of stuck, have them be the fish out of water
Yeah.
for once. And then I just kind of expanded it from there. Um, and as we kept telling, as it went to an outline and a script, the story just kept, getting molded, and all this and everything else. And yeah, I mean, everyone was just very, very involved in the development of it, and just open to everything. And we just had a great time developing it and getting it into the shape that it was in.
Mhm.
And it certainly wasn't just me. I mean, especially Hallmark and everything had great ideas, and great little, their notes were always helpful and made it better. And I think I was writing it for a long time. I mean, because I think we kind of missed the window, for last, gosh, when did I even start One Royal Holiday? I think we just, I had the script for longer. So we were able to sort of really get it in great shape. I think I started writing it in February, it looks like 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had it for a while, and then once you miss one Christmas window, then you got to wait. So
Mhm.
I actually have a Christmas script that I wrote this year that now it's just gonna wait for next year to
Yeah,
do
I
this.
think people don't realize that how much work and how much time goes into these little movies.
Oh, they
I
can
think
be. I
people
mean,
understand.
they can take so many drafts. Just
Mhm.
so many for all of us even who've done 15 movies. There's still multiple rewrites, multiple drafts. um so that's the one thing about a rewrite that I like, when I know it's about to go into productions. Like, they just don't have time for that. So
Right.
you don't get into that kind of circular development forever. And that's so I like to keep this, it's balanced for me.
Mhm.
So
Well, one nice thing about One Royal Holiday is that you had 3 couples in the
mhm.
story, and that always kind of makes it richer, I think. You had
I
your
love
lead
that kind of
couple, of
thing.
course, and then you had Mayor Sarah and Christopher,
Mhm.
and then you had Ed and Diane in
I
there.
love them.
They were really good.
I worked with Tom McGowan when I was a writer's assistant on Everybody Loves Raymond in
Oh,
'96 and '97. And I had no idea he had been cast. And we had a Zoom call with all the cast, and I saw him there. And I'm like, oh, and I just freaked out. I was so excited that it had been 25 years. And it was just so fun to see him. And he's so good. He's so great in it. Everybody was. I mean, everybody
ye
was insanely, I guess, still. I mean, I'm speechless when I saw every little moment, even in the donut shop between like Vicky Clark and
so
Laura.
cute.
Oh my gosh. I still have the donut, by the way, from that in my freezer.
Too.
I
That's
do.
funny.
I have the Christmas curler. I saved it. It was 100 degrees. It's all melty and gross, but I saved it. And I thought I'd do this whole fun thing on social media where I take a bite of it at the same time, but I totally forgot that I had it that
Oh,
night.
no, I was gonna say, why didn't you eat it? Thanks. It's
So it's
funny.
still there.
It's like your, anniversary, the cake that you save for your anniversary
Right,
and
right.
married, and everybody I know who's done that is like, "It's disgusting. Don't do
We
it."
did. I don't think we even did that. But I might just, maybe I'll do it as a giveaway. I'll do it as a charity event. Here's a Christmas cruller from One Royal Holiday.
Maybe we make it a thing for the patrons. It'll be a big perk.
There you go.
Treat.
That's gonna be a big it'll be a charity auction, and I'll send it
Yeah.
in dry ice.
But yeah, I loved the animated intro. That was really
Oh, wasn't
fun.
that amazing?
That was really good. I
And
loved that.
they recorded a song. I mean, it was just, I couldn't
Mhm.
believe the things that came out of that. I'm dying.
Yeah.
I wish they would. I'm not sure about a sequel. I would, obviously people. I've never had a movie where people wanted one like that. But I just don't know if that's something Hallmark wants to do, and I haven't heard yet.
Well, I
So
just feel like it would be almost more natural to have a spin-off because you have this other relationship that didn't get tons of time, got a little
true.
bit of time between Sarah and Christopher. So
Hmm.
if you had the next one about their relationship, that would be fun.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm, good idea. I mean,
I'm the executive producer.
they'll tell me. I mean, they'll just, I just keep doing what I'm doing, and then they'll tell me. Someone will tell me, "Hey, write a
Yeah.
sequel."
um, so how did you get the idea for the pajama gala? That was so
Oh,
fun.
I don't know. I just really, every time I have a holiday party, I end up getting. For me, it's just laziness. I don't really like dressing up
Uh-huh.
for too many holiday parties, and so I had a screening of a Christmas Club last year, and actually no, I think it started a couple years ago. I just decided to make every Christmas screening I had a pajama thing at my house.
Uh-huh.
And I just kind of just made it that for that. I just think it's, as long as we saw her in a ball gown. That was the hard part. Like, it's fun to talk about pajamas, but it's a royal movie, and we have to see her in a ball gown. I mean, it's just, that's the rules, right? So we had to figure out a way to make both of those things happen. That was a lot of back and forth on sort of the best way to make that work. I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, well, next time if you do a sequel, you need to see the pajama gala.
I think so. Yeah. I
I
mean,
think so.
we did get to see them all in their jammies. I think that was the
Yeah, that
important
was so
thing. So, and the joke about Captain Von Trapp, when he's in his like, his formal pajamas in the kitchen, when they see each other over in the middle of the night, is just because my friends and I used to go see Sing Along Sound of Music at the Hollywood Bowl every year for probably 15 years. And that was, people yell out jokes like it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show, like during the movie. And the biggest inside joke that I have with my friend Linda, who's a writer, is that he wears, when he comes to the bedroom during My Favorite Things, and he's wearing a sleeping tie. So that was literally just me like giving a little Easter egg to my friend Linda. That was it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and it must have just been so cool to have all of these Broadway people, actors involved in this project. And I mean, not only giving them work in such a horrible time for Broadway, but just having the incredible talent. And to have Victoria Clark in a Hallmark
Oh
movie, that was
God.
very exciting for
I
me.
mean, she was so perfect as the queen. And I really liked that people liked that the queen wasn't mean in this
Mhm.
one. That's one of the things that people were saying, is that all the other royal movies, the queen's always, kind of
Yeah,
not a nice gal. So I liked that she was cute and sweet and normal, and that she bonded with, Laura's character so quickly. Um, and I feel like with the actors that we got, they're just such pros. I mean, they're so prepared because they do what they do every single night. They have to be. It's just really, it's really amazing. And now there was a lot of this on Twitter. I noticed everyone's like, "Why aren't they singing? This is terrible. Why would you have a movie, with all these Broadway stars without singing?" And the answer is, because they were cast, after it was written, but also I think for those guys, it was nice for them to want to just act and just be where it
yeah.
wasn't about singing. So we tried to throw in as much as we could,
Mhm.
because we don't want to waste that kind of talent. But I think that they were happy to you know do that, show us that other side of them, that they can,
Mhm.
that it's not just about musical
Well,
theater or singing or whatever. Yeah.
I still have my dream of a Hallmark musical. We got
Oh, me
closer.
too.
We got closer this year with all this Broadway talent, and then also in Christmas Waltz with the dancing scene, which was my dancing down the street was my
Yep.
favorite thing of probably the whole season. I loved that.
I
But so we're
I
getting
think
closer.
I know that's my dream is Hallmark the musical, but it has to, in my mind it's on Broadway, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
an actual musical where people can go see it. Where it's not making fun of Hallmark, but it's like a loving kind of, poking fun at itself, but in
mm,
a way that is not mocking the people that watch them, or me, or anyone else who's
right,
involved. Like
right.
it's sort of, so I have an idea for
Kind of
that,
like
but
Enchanted, sort of like it's
yeah,
poking fun at the genre, but not being mean.
exactly. That's exactly what it would
Mhm.
be. Now, I'm saying this with absolutely zero knowledge of any support from or that anyone at Hallmark is even remotely interested. I know that we talk about it a lot, but it's a whole different thing to talk about. I think if Hallmark's talking about it internally, it's probably as a televised musical special.
Oh,
And
like a live musical.
I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm just guessing honestly, but I'm always thinking like, when people go to New York City and there's a lot of shows, but a lot of them are a little too edgy, or they're not family friendly, or they're,
Mhm.
like, I think it would be such a huge slam dunk to have a
Yeah,
show
I
like
think
that.
so. I know I would love it.
Because
I speak for
it wouldn't,
myself.
it's like, I mean, like, I wouldn't want it to be like Book of Mormon where it's kind of mean.
Right.
It would be like, yeah, like you said, like that's, I've been looking for the right example, and that's actually perfect. Thank you. You've just helped me a ton, because I was trying to think of the right example to explain what I was thinking.
Well, I loved the whole ending in One Royal Holiday. I mean, I loved her dress. It was beautiful. But I liked the fact because you said that, oh, well, the queen wasn't a source of conflict in this one, but there was conflict because he was concerned about the people and how he would be able to relate to the people and whether he could talk to them. And so having her listen to his speech, then having him be there, it was great. I
Oh,
love the ending.
thanks. Thank
And
you.
then their dance, so
Oh,
good.
well, the Christmas Waltz is my absolute favorite Christmas song, and I'm super happy that we got to throw it in there. I wasn't sure that they would go for it, but they did.
Yeah.
But I love my favorite version is the Mel Torme version, which I'm pretty sure was probably as expensive as the movie. So I don't think that's why why they used. But I literally listen to that song like on a loop in my car
Yeah.
when I'm
No,
driving.
I really like that song. I know the my favorite is the Kristen Chenoweth version of the
Oh
song.
yeah, that's a good one. But
But
you know what? Do you know why I don't listen to that one? Can you guess why? Because it's too high and I can't sing along.
yeah, that makes sense. See, I'm a soprano, so
No, I'm an but all the way. So,
but yeah, it was really good. Definitely one of the
thanks.
highlights of the season.
Thank you.
So you had a Glenbrook Christmas. Was that one that you did a rewrite on, or was
That
it?
was a rewrite. Yep, that was a rewrite. Yeah.
I got the
Um,
feeling. So it
um,
was based on her book, Robin Jones Gunn,
but I didn't
and
read
then
the book. I didn't.
oh, you
I
did
actually
it?
didn't know because I was just doing. My job was to take the script that they had and address the notes that were given to me by the network. So at that point, there was no point in reading anything and getting, I didn't want to get off track
That makes sense.
because I wasn't recreating. I just needed to do what they needed me to do. So and it was it was a intense couple weeks and or 2 or 3 weeks but I'm proud of it. I really like how it turned out. Thought it was
Mhm.
great.
I mean, it must have been exciting to have Autumn Reeser and Antonia Kupel back together because they've
Oh
done
yeah,
two other movies
they are both
together.
so charming. I forgot to mention them when I was talking about how great casts are, by the way, because those two also so charming together. And when I was watching it, I was tweeting just like the faces that they were making were so cute and perfect, and you in so many things that you don't need to write or say because they do it in their facial expressions. I love, it's so much better to not have to, hit people over the head with what people are feeling with words, right? You want to see it. So I thought he did such a great job of being attracted to her, but and yet annoyed, and her, like at the beginning. I just loved it. I thought they were so cute.
Hmm.
I had a
Yeah.
part of it, the one part that it's funny, and they were right to leave it out, but there was a little extra thing where I was going to have it where it turned out that his dad was the one that like saved her from the car accident, and
Oh, yeah.
that was like brought it all to. But they were right that it was like one step too much serendipity almost that
Hmm.
they what I mean. But I kind of thought it was like that was one place where the one thing I was doing that yes, I like the idea, but it definitely would have been like too many coincidences.
So was it hard as a writer to make a such a like a wealthy, privileged character to make her likable and to make that work? I mean, it helps having Autumn Reeser because she's so
It,
likable, but
yeah, I mean there was a scene at the beginning that got cut that was her kind of explaining more about how every time she goes on a date with somebody, as it turns out they really just need her for something business wise, which is what happened in the movie. But it didn't have as much explanation. I feel like, I mean, I feel like what made her likable is just if you're like that rich, but you're buddies with the people who work for the family. That's the thing I like. To
mhm,
me, that showed that she was, you know, a
more
decent
down to earth.
person. Yeah. The mints, though, I will say, that's not that. Okay. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be those soft red and white striped, mints that everyone loves. That
Oh, yeah.
okay, you know what I'm talking about? That's
Mhm.
what it was supposed to be that she was addicted to, and then they ended up making them like little peppermint patties. It was like, I literally
Right.
did this
Sorry
like the
about
Star Wars. No,
that. You're like, "You're ruining it."
no. So obviously I had to go to the store and buy a bag of those mints to make up for that and eat them. That was the only solution. But yeah, that's what I
You
meant
can
by
tell
the
you,
addictive mints.
you can tell your year by the strange. I think most of our years this year by our strange, uh, our strange grocery purchases.
That's true.
We've all had our fair share.
Oh my God, you should see what I just bought for myself on Amazon to get here for Christmas. Like just weird. One thing is a head scrubber for shampoo. I just bought that, and that's going in. That's going to be Santa's bringing that to me.
There's so little joy in the world. Why
Really?
not?
Why
Right?
not have a head scrubber, a scalp scrubber for your shampoo? I
All right.
deserve it. I deserve
Yeah,
it.
you do deserve it.
Yeah.
So now we have coming up Taking a Shot at Love. And so these Winter Fest movies, I feel like they're the first set. I know it's New Year's, new movies, whatever. But it feels like maybe they're the first set to have more of this new leadership involved maybe from I mean they do take a long time to get greenlit and everything,
Hmm.
but I don't know, it feels like is this would you agree with that? That's kind of the first real
Um.
start
Well,
of this new leadership.
I think half of the Christmas movies were under the new leadership as well, or more than that actually. A lot of stuff didn't get greenlit or even put into into the lineup for a while. So I think that actually anything that's I think it's been like almost throughout Christmas now, plus
Mm.
this now.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not like we all got a document like here's how it's going to be now, everybody. It's just it's
Right.
we still mostly work with the same executives who are all amazing, and and Michelle and Randy, and I haven't unfortunately haven't been able to meet Wanya yet. I don't, obviously
Yeah.
it's not like I'm flying out there to have meetings or anything. I feel like really it's just whatever notes we get from the network will are reflecting whatever they're hearing from the new leadership. And
Mhm.
um, really the biggest change is just like I said before, like opening us up to the inclusivity and diversity, and just don't be afraid to push the boundaries a little bit, and we will pull you back if we have to. Don't be afraid to get you know don't be afraid to show life being a little bit messier than normal than we might have in the past, where the people don't have to start out as perfect, which I love.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so it's just it's subtle, It's just
Mhm.
I think it's subtle, but it's moving us into sort of a more real space, but still being a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
We're not going to suddenly start making Lifetime movies. There's
Yeah.
that's what Lifetime is for. So it's a subtle thing, but I think it's the difference is more of a freedom to push our boundaries.
Yeah. I agree. I really like that. I like the fact that we're getting some new and different stories, but still keeping within that G rating and still keeping within
Hmm.
that formula. But so, why don't you tell us a little bit about Taking a Shot at Love?
So that one was also a rewrite,
Okay.
but it had longer with it. Um, and so it was, the original idea was basically a ballet dancer helping a hockey player rehabilitate an injury. And so, I did what I needed to do as far as the network and the producers were concerned for the script. And for me, there's a couple things I love about it. It has a lot of stuff for guys to watch this time, which I love. And it's there's hockey and there's poker and there's air hockey and ice bars and all kinds of stuff you just don't like you wouldn't normally get. Um, I love having stuff for guys, and there's that kind of Luke's really great at being a likable guy, but who also he's an athlete and he's a little bit um, of a not a playboy, but he's like he starts off a little bit unlikable, but in a likable way, which I love because
Yeah.
he's amazing at that. Um, and I set the movie in my current town, and that's the best. I wish we had shot it here, but it was shot in Vancouver, but it is set in the town I live in, and I used a bunch of friends' names and their kids' names and all kinds of stuff like that. So everyone here is all excited about it. And my goal really is to make an actual Avon Winterfest like there is in the movie and make it be real here next year.
If they do that, I will come.
I'm telling
That
you,
sounds so fun.
they are building the issue I that is with Avon is that it's very spread out and there's not really much of a town center. And they
Uh-huh.
actually are making that happen right now. They're building a bunch of stuff that's sort of going to make it a town center. So I'm like, this is perfect. Now we'll have a new town center, we'll have a Winterfest, we'll do a tree lighting, we'll do all the things that a Hallmark movie town should have. Right.
Oh,
So that's fun. So the next thing would be to have it actually shot here. But
oh man. That kind of thing, I think all of us are going to appreciate so much more. It's like, oh, the idea of getting together with the whole town. Like,
I know. I mean, all those things. I can't watch anything on TV now without going like, huh, wow, look at those people like just hanging out together, like
yeah,
in a bar or any. I just look
anyway,
at it and go like,
yeah,
wow, huh, look at that. They could just
yeah,
stand there
yeah,
next to each other like
yeah,
people.
those were good times.
Wow, it's so sad.
It really is. But I think this looks really cute. I am very looking forward to it.
I thought it turned out really cute, and they're both
Mhm.
really cute with the comedy moments and with the dramatic moments. Um, Luke was trained at Juilliard, and it shows he can. He pulls it off.
Mm.
When he's learning to dance and all that kind of stuff. And there's a very special thing which I love, which is that there's a boy in the movie named Felix who is a ballet dancer and a hockey player, and that's okay, and that's the whole thing. And I love his little subplot. And they ended up casting a young man who played Billy Elliot in Canada on stage,
Ah,
so and who does actually play hockey and dance, and he's wonderful, and these dance scenes are beautiful. They used all the kids who actually go to the studio they shot at, and it looks fantastic. The hockey scenes are awesome. They used, real hockey players. They got permission from the New York Rangers and the Hartford Wolfpack, which is the minor league team, which is the whole setup of the movie, to
uh-huh.
use all their jerseys and stuff. And I actually have a player playing in the hockey scene with the Rangers with Sherm on the back of his jersey. It says Sherm,
Oh,
and
nice.
I have the jersey. So I'm very very excited about it. Yeah, and then there's all kinds of stuff that I just think are it's just fun, like the ice storms and just wintry things that are delightful. But there wasn't a lot of snow on it. There wasn't really an easy way to make snow for this, so it's a lot of
Yeah.
ice but not snow.
Well, that's one thing I was gonna say about One Real Holidays. I thought the snow it was made in like August, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They did a great job in that movie with snow.
That's Andrew Gernhardt. That's Synthetic Cinema. I'll throw him a shout out.
Yeah, they did a
They're very
great
good at
job.
it. I had two friends that were extras in the Donnie's Donuts scene. They were actually the two
Mhm,
girls who were served right before Anna goes to the
mhm,
counter, and they were just, it was 100 degrees. It was the hottest day of the entire summer in Connecticut, and they were wearing these heavy winter coats and hats. It was brutal, but you couldn't even tell
mhm,
once you
no.
watched it.
I mean, there's that whole scene with her where she's walking along with a white coat, and there's like a whole wall practically of snow. I'm like, how did
Right.
they do that? That looked so good.
Doesn't it look good? Isn't it amazing what they can do? And then also, thanks to all the digital stuff they can do in post production, adding lights, removing leaves from trees, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. It all makes it look great.
Yeah, it was very impressive. Well, they've changed. What do you think about this new movies, New Year instead of?
Is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they
Uh,
changed it from Winterfest,
to
which
new movies, new.
which my friends at all the fields they were saying that what is a Winterfest? What does that even mean? And I understand that, but I feel like it's so snappier than New Year's new movies. That's a little bit not as
I didn't
good.
even realize that's what it was.
Yeah,
Um,
they changed it.
I don't know. Well, I took winter. We literally just stole the word Winterfest and put it in Taking a Shot at Love as the Avon Winterfest. So actually, I
Wow.
didn't steal it. It was actually not called that, and then it did whatever. I can't remember what I even called it, but it didn't clear, and so they just gave us that suggestion, and I'm like, all right, whatever, fine.
That makes sense.
Like, Avon Winterfest it is, and so I guess we just well, that's how it'll live on, is Avon
Yeah.
Winterfest. I
Oh,
think that
good.
they just don't. I don't know if they feel like they need to keep to do things in these sort of chunks of programming, because it's I think a little bit limiting as to what they can develop if you can only have a wedding movie, for 4 weeks
Right.
during the summer, during the wedding whatever the wedding thing was called,
Yeah,
like, so it opens it up a little bit, like,
true.
uh the ones a couple of the ones I'm writing right now really don't have seasons, which I prefer.
Mhm.
um Listen,
Well, and
the
you
birthday wish airs more than any other movie I've ever written for them, because it doesn't have a season attached, except she's wearing a scarf. I mean, it was a Winterfest movie when it aired, but
right.
it airs all the time. Which
Yeah.
I
Well, it's one of
great.
the best, so that's probably
Oh,
part of it
thanks.
too.
Thanks.
One of my favorites, at least. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. But I think that maybe if I'm just guessing, the idea behind New Year's new movies is that kind of trying to carry over that crowd from Christmas. Is
Hmm.
that now there's New Year's movies, so it maybe feels more natural. But yeah,
Well, this movie is all about. I actually used, that word, that hygge, Hyggge, that they talk about in Norway, that Norwegian
uh,
word about, just about, like, kind of the cultivation of comfort.
uh,
That's my life. Like, I am all about finding, I'm all about the comfort food, having the warm mug and the blankets and the fuzzy things, and that's a lot of her character. And I think for the winter movies, I think that's what people are doing, because it's still winter, it's still cold, but it's not Christmas. So how can can we do to, like, make this time special between January and March? And I redecorate my house to be more of like the ski theme, like kind of the winter
yeah.
skiing theme. And so that's kind of that vibe that this movie will give.
That's true. That's a good way to think about it. That's how I kind of feel in some ways too. That's one of my roles, to kind of make people smile, bring people comfort in through this year, and hopefully we've done our best. We've tried, and you're just like we're almost. I just like the finish line is in sight. We're almost there. They're giving out the vaccines. We're
Yeah.
getting closer and closer.
It's I'm scared to even hope that about it. I just keep, you know what I mean. I'm just gonna keep rolling. The best thing I read that made me so happy, I read a couple days ago, was about how, like, people, a doctor or somebody saying Hallmark movies are, good for your, good for curing what ails you or whatever. And I'm like, that's nice. That makes me happy. I feel like
Yeah,
doing
me
something
too.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, be involved in something that makes people feel happy, makes people feel
Yeah.
good is great. Well, thank you so much for coming on talking with us. This was really fun. Good to
I'm
catch
so
up.
glad to be back. Same here. I always forget I honestly forget we're recording half the time, and I feel like we're just having a conversation.
I know.
So I don't know what I even said, but anyway.
Thank you. No, it was great.
Anywho,
Um, if people want to follow you on social media, all that fun stuff, how can they do that?
so on Twitter, I'm at Sherm Wolf, and Wolf has an E on the end.
Great.
And then on Instagram, which as you know, I'm constantly trying to not suck at my social media, but I still do suck at it. It's Julie_Sherman_Wolfe. And I have a Facebook writer page that's just Julie Sherman Wolfe, one word. It's there somewhere. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I will, of course, like, live tweet when we air the movie. And I think in Avon there might be like an Avon town viewing party on Zoom, but I'm not sure yet. Or just
Mm,
maybe my friends. I don't know.
well, let us
Everyone's
know. Let us know.
If there's
We'll put it on.
if I'm doing any kind of viewing thing, I'll let you know. But I mean, it might be just, I don't know. Nobody really wants to do that, I don't think. So, I kind of try
Well,
and talk them out of it. So,
well, we'll have all the information in the description section, so just let
thank
us
you.
know. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. I just got my acceptance as press for Sundance Film Festival, so I'm going to be having
Yay.
some really fun coverage coming up on my channel. So make sure you follow me over there, and then also make sure to follow Hallmarkies Podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, all of our social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we also have our Patreon group, as we mentioned. We have really fun watch-alongs coming up. And
Do
then we
it.
also have our merch store, and that's really fun. So check that out. And thanks so much, Julie. This was really great. I love talking with you. And I guess we should say, I was going to say Merry Christmas, because
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy New
Christmas
Year.
all year
And
long, right?
yes, I will give you the scoop on all the other stuff going on for next year. There's big stuff brewing, but I can't talk about it yet, but I will
Ooh,
let you,
all right.
you'll be the first to know.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have you back on for sure. And
All right.
yeah, we'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.